Five, four, three, two, one. Ding a ling a ling, ling a ling a ling a ling ling. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello?
Wait, I can't hear you too good. I can't hear you too good.
Oh,
My
that's
phone,
good.
my phone is old.
Oh my gosh. The things you find in garage
What?
sales. The
What?
the things you find in garage sales.
I
Or on
know.
eBay. I don't know if you stumble across
No,
things
this
like
is
that.
this is for sure a garage sale. I paid up
Wow.
for this too. For those of you that can't see, this is a
Wow.
brick phone, Bell Atlantic brick phone, special edition. This isn't just the regular brick phone, special
Oh my
edition.
gosh. The smallest of the
Uh,
brick phones. The normal brick phones back then
oh
were
yeah,
much bigger. This was the
this
slim,
was the mini,
compact.
the mini.
Yes. For the
Oh
kids.
my gosh.
The kid play phone.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Cesar Guerrero is
Wow.
in the house. Isn't it
Wow.
interesting how many people can't roll their R's?
Yes, I couldn't roll my R's for the longest time. And
Really?
as a Mexican, that was like the biggest point of shame for me. Now, I'm not lying. My grandparents, my parents would just, they would look at me in disappointment every time I tried to roll my R's and would fail.
And you were like,
And it was bad. It was so bad. And then I was doing
wow.
a a Spanish class project in high school,
Yeah.
and we were filming a video, and I rolled my R, and
Oh.
I freaked out. And my friends were like, "What the heck is happening?" And because they didn't know, they're like, "Big deal." I was like, "This
Yeah.
is." It was like a superpower, kind of moment
Yeah.
where the werewolf gets its claws,
Yeah.
and that's what it felt like for me. It's like, oh, I finally became a Mexican today.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, for you growing up, you grew up in Texas,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Yes.
And so primary language in the house was both, or
Uh,
was it?
yeah. When I was really little, it was both. But
Mm-hmm.
both my parents moved over when they were kids,
Okay.
and they didn't speak English at home.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they didn't speak Spanish at home because they didn't want English to be hard for me, and
Okay.
they also didn't want me to have an accent.
Interesting.
So because when you move over when you're a kid, I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
they got teased or
Mm-hmm.
felt like outsiders when they were kids,
Yeah.
in school and stuff like
And
that.
that would have been in like the 60s, 70s, or
Well,
whenever they moved over,
my
or
parents decided
80s.
to get married real young.
Oh, it was actually
Yeah,
15 years
it was
ago.
2001. No,
And Caesar, how old are
yeah,
you right now? Are you
I'm
27?
29. I just turned 29.
29.
Yeah,
Where did the years go?
I know. Down the
And
drain. That's where
we've
they
known
go.
each other a minute. We've
Yes,
known each other since 2014.
yes. Wow,
9 years of life.
almost a
Uh,
decade.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Can I tell you? We just need to touch on this
Hmm.
because I have to. But one of my favorite movies in the history of cinema would be Nacho Libre.
Yes.
And one thing that has fascinated me is this whole business these days of cancel culture.
Hmm.
But sometimes it's like when the Washington Redskins changed their name to the Washington Commanders, and
Hmm.
then there were a lot of Native Americans that are like, no, we didn't mind it at all.
Right.
But then there were some saying, yeah, we did mind it. Or the St. Louis, or not St. Louis. Who is the Guardians?
Yeah,
They
the
were the Indian
Guardians. Cleveland.
Cleveland
Yes.
baseball changed to the Guardians.
Yes.
And so I don't hate it if it's actually for a pure reason
Yeah.
and not just listening to two people out of 10,000.
The
So
Twitter.
For Nacho Libre, like three people that I know that have Mexican heritage
Yes.
all love
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes. I think that, and this might be a hot take. I don't think it is, but I think canceling works if it's you, right? Like if Mexicans want to cancel Nacho Libre, then I would be fine for it. But Mexicans, the ones that I know too, like my grandparents love that movie. We watched that movie growing up
Oh
for
my
all of our
gosh.
family gatherings, like Thanksgiving. We'd gather
Yes.
around the TV and watch Nacho Libre because it was the
Yeah.
one movie that my grandparents like were understanding, even though they couldn't understand all the English, they
Right.
got all the references.
Uh-huh.
So they thought it was the funniest movie ever, and we
Yeah.
would quote it all the time. all my aunts and
Like, could
uncles.
they relate to the dead guy duties when he
Yes,
puts the coins on his
yes,
he puts the coins on his
yes.
eyeballs?
The way the house looks like, the little doily the knitted doily that they put over his face. Like my grandmother had a bunch of those. So
Oh my
like,
gosh,
and
for
she,
dead guys?
yes, well, for
Oh my
everything you had
gosh.
one for
Okay.
dead guys, for live guys.
Doily game
Yeah,
strong
exactly.
with
I got one
grandma.
for our wedding. My grandmother gave us one from Mexico for as a
Now,
wedding
do you
gift.
refer to your grandmother as grandmother or
Hmm.
abuela?
Yeah, grandpa and grandpa. I mean,
Not
grandma and
abuela.
grandpa. Yeah, I don't know why. It's just a weird
Interesting.
thing. In some ways,
Okay.
I'm really Mexican. In some ways, I'm really not. So
Yeah. But are there any other family members that you would say, this is my tia? This is my
yeah,
tio?
it's so weird. It's so weird. Like my uncle Juan.
Uh huh.
So he's Uncle Juan,
Yeah.
but Tia Lulu and Tia Rosie. Like so. I don't. Maybe it's bilingual. It had to be bilingual.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's weird.
Would that be considered Spanglish?
Spanglish, yeah, maybe
Like just a mashup
for
of
sure.
both?
Yeah,
Yeah.
blending it.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
So, Caesar, where are you coming at us from? I keep asking everybody. Most people are in North Carolina, but
Yep.
there's been a few that have not been in North
Cool.
Carolina. So you're coming at me. I am, of
Mm-hmm.
course, in the Charlotte area, and you're
Mm-hmm.
not far.
No, I'm probably
You're
about 20 minutes as
20 minutes
the
away.
crow flies, as they say.
And
But
what
we know how
are you
bad traffic
actually?
is around here, so it's probably like 45 minutes.
True.
But yeah,
As the crow walks,
that's
45 minutes. As the crow flies.
and he'll get there
But
faster than me.
you're in Charlotte now,
Yeah, in the just
or
north of Charlotte. I was living in
okay,
Charlotte, like
okay,
like right, off a light rail station down in Charlotte for a while, which was awesome.
okay. Got
But
you.
yeah, now I live north of Charlotte, about 30 minutes north.
30 minutes north. Where do you live?
I live in Denver.
Oh,
Yeah,
got you. 30 minutes that way. Okay,
yeah.
got it.
There's a lot
Because I'm
of
like, wait, Mooresville?
yeah.
Anyway. And then Caesar, you popped the question with this little cutie a couple
Mm-hmm.
years ago and then got hitched. Congrats,
Thank
by the
you.
way.
Thank you.
And so you've been married for 2 years now?
We
3
just
years?
celebrated our third year. We had
Dang.
our anniversary last week. Yeah,
Love it.
which is
Love it.
exciting.
Love it. Yeah. That's so cool. Well, we need to switch gears. That's enough chit chat. We got to dive in to
Mm-hmm.
the life of Caesar. And most people, when they come on, have thought of 2 or 3 different pivotal moments in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. Some people ask me, like, how heavy do you want it? How heavy are we going?
Yeah.
Are we talking about when when I found out my mom had cancer?
Yeah. Do you want the
Or
real
are we
story or the
are we
real
talking
story?
about when something like that? And it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't always have to be. Of course, it's
Right.
fascinating any way you spin it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure I'll have some that are more weighty in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
That it's a more weighty, heavy type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, I don't know.
Yeah.
You'll kind of describe what the weight is behind this moment, but let's have just a little lead up to it. So you went to Davidson College,
Yes.
correct?
That's where I went to undergrad.
From Texas all the way to Davidson, North
Yeah.
Carolina,
That was crazy.
and in undergrad, so 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then were you thinking while you were in school, I want to keep studying. I want to keep
Yeah.
learning. I want to keep going to school. Or were you like, 4 years and I'm donezo?
Maybe at the beginning of the 4 years, I was like, oh yeah, I went into school thinking I was gonna be an economics major. So, how many economists do you know, Michael? Like Michael Hall?
Not many, Caesar.
Yeah. Like it's like to be an economist is like, a weird thing. You have to go like long like doctoral programs after that to, get a job or something. So I think at the beginning I was excited about, doing that kind of stuff. But as I got into it, I was like, I don't think economics likes me as much as I like it. I was not doing well in those classes. So I changed my major, or I didn't have to declare my major until sophomore year.
Got it.
So that bought me some time.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I by the time, I decided to change, on a different track,
And what'd you switch to?
I switched to religion. I
Okay.
studied all of religion. They didn't call
All different
it yeah,
religions.
so
Shinto. I mean,
yes,
all of them.
took some awesome
Wow.
classes that were just, and that's
Yeah.
why, I mean, the reason I changed to religion is because I really enjoyed the classes that I was taking as
Uh
electives.
huh. Uh huh.
And so yeah, so I changed my major, and then around that time I started serving, volunteering with you,
Mm-hmm.
and was like, what, I think I want to do this thing called ministry, or
Mm-hmm.
working in a church,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and
Doing the
so
Lord's
doing the
work.
Lord's work, and but I knew I didn't want to be like a lead pastor, right? I knew I didn't want
Right.
to do that, so I
Right.
was like, okay, I don't have to go to school anymore after I'm done. And
Uh huh.
by the time I was done with Davidson, I was like, I don't want to go back to school. Like, that was too hard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I took a break for a while.
Mm-hmm. And so now you're 22. You're out of Davidson,
Hmm.
and fast forward 5, 6, 7 years, and so when was it that you first got this like little pain in your side that went, oh,
Hmm.
what was that? Wait, I'm gonna go back to school.
Yeah, I
When was that?
I think it wasn't too long after I graduated undergrad.
Oh, okay.
I think I went into the school of life, as I call it. Like, I went
Uh
into
huh.
the real world and like started learning how to make money,
How
or
to adult?
how to adult and how to
Uh
pay
huh.
for bills, and all those
Yeah.
kind of things. And also, working in a church where I could do different kinds of things. I wasn't,
Uh huh.
like necessarily teaching a lot of different things. I was more executing
Mm-hmm.
tasks that were like creative, like making videos and graphic design, and also leading meetings, and scheduling volunteers, like things that are very, you don't have to go to grad school to do
Right.
those kind of
Right. Right.
things.
Right.
But I had a sense that like I wanted to be a leader, like I wanted to lead people in a direction.
Mm-hmm.
Was really inspired by other people, I mean, like yourself, who can get excited about a direction and then lead people
Mm-hmm.
towards that.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that, what, to do that, I need maybe a little bit more credentials, a little bit more of a reason for people to follow. And so
Okay.
I kind of knew that was going to be down, you know, down the line. I just didn't think it was going to be this far down. I
Right.
really, I really just kind of put my head down into the work and into the weeds of
Mm-hmm.
it. And now
Mm-hmm.
I'm applying to schools and I'm hearing back from them
So
almost,
there,
seven.
but you just skipped over a big
Yeah.
piece of this recipe, which
Yeah.
is what was the? I mean, was this 4 months ago when you
Yeah.
stuck a stake in the ground and went,
Yeah.
okay, I'm either gonna poop or get off the
It
pot
was,
here.
it was probably literally 4 months ago.
Wow. Okay.
Where I kind of just got to a place where, and I think something shifted for me. Something that I knew about myself is that I'm kind of an all or nothing kind of person. So
Mm-hmm.
I like to know, um, what I'm stepping into a little bit more, than maybe someone who likes to kind of figure their way out, figure out a path as they go.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like to know what the next step is and the next three steps. And
Yeah.
so I spent a lot of time, kind of thinking, well, do I really want to commit to grad school?
Mm-hmm.
And all of the consequences that go with grad school, not just the degree.
Mm-hmm.
That's great that you get a degree, but am I willing to incur all that debt? Am I willing to
Mm-hmm.
potentially have to move to go to a grad school? All those kinds of decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. Or
And
do you do
so
it online? And then there's
exactly,
pros and cons with that.
exactly. And so I
Yeah.
think all of that took a while for me to feel confident that there was going to be an option for me that would work. And
Yeah.
so yeah, there was that initial, okay, I'm going, and I decided, in my own mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I think that this podcast, is about the decisions that define us.
Mm-hmm.
I think an important decision is not just to be inspired to start something, but to actually finish the process. Because, like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think, I mean, there are some decisions where you start, and it you can finish pretty quickly, right? There's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of quick turnaround decisions, but I think some of the
Mm-hmm.
biggest decisions, will require, a little bit of the, I have to finish that decision. I can't just say I'm going to do it, but I have to see through all the steps. In grad school, there's a lot of steps. You have to apply,
Yeah.
you have to write essays, you have to, meet with people and do all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
there could have been a lot of moments where I was like, you know what, it's not really worth it, or maybe it's a little too scary. So I
Right.
finished like last week. I finished all the
Okay.
applications. I'm starting to hear back from people.
Uh-huh.
And that felt really interesting. I was like, whoa, okay, that's how I know I really finished the decision. Was
Uh-huh.
now the ball's moving and there's
Yeah.
momentum, and
Yeah.
that was really exciting.
There's I did two keynotes today actually at two different high schools with some other former pro athletes and
Mm-hmm.
then me, which is a funny combo. But
And now this guy.
and now this guy, what sport did he play? Skateboarding. Anyway, but one thing that I said, but I'm the only professional speaker
Yeah.
in like the mix. The other guys are just former pro athletes,
Mm-hmm.
but not professional speakers.
Right.
But they've got a really great story to tell.
Right.
And of course, kids want to listen.
Mm-hmm.
These teenagers that we were talking to, about probably 1,000 kids today. But one thing I said while I was talking was that you prove what you want by what you do.
Hmm.
You prove what you want by what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I said something like if you're telling me you want to have a 6-pack,
Mm-hmm.
abs, but I just see you in line at Krispy Kreme with a dozen and you ain't sharing with anybody. And then I ask you 3 weeks later, how's it coming? How's progress? And you say, oh, I'm going to have a 6-pack. And you're posting it all over social media.
Yeah.
Oh, 6-pack, here we come. And then I ask you how many crunches you've done lately. And you go, crunches? I'll get
What's
to
a
that later.
crunch?
But I'm going to have a 6-pack. At a certain point, I stopped believing. Maybe I gave you
Right.
the benefit of the doubt in the beginning.
Yes.
But I stopped believing you.
Yeah.
Because it's just running your mouth
Mm-hmm.
at that point. So why don't you just shut up and stop
Yeah.
fooling yourself? You're delusional.
Yes.
If you say you want something, but you're not willing to prove it with your
Mm-hmm.
actions. So this is kind of similar to that,
For sure.
where you had the idea, let me go back to school.
Exactly.
And you can talk your face off to
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of people, your wife, your parents,
Yep.
your friends, your neighbor. Oh, I'm going to go back to school and go back
Mm-hmm.
to school. And then a year later, people are like, how's that coming? And
Right.
you're like, oh man, I'm going to do it. It's going to be great. 5 years later, they're still
Mm-hmm.
asking you, whatever happened to you?
Exactly.
Oh man, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go back to.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we do that? Why do we just run our mouths like that unnecessarily and not just.
Yeah, I know why for me it took a long time was mainly because I liked the idea of
Mm-hmm.
me, I like the idea of
Having a
one
master's
day,
degree, or
it was
some.
kind of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. One day I'll have that. And
Dr.
it's
Guerrero.
exactly, it's easy to say, oh, one day I'll have that and like claim it, as like it's going to be
Right.
a real thing.
Right.
But even then, that's a super vague thing. But for sure, my wife is like a big part of even me finishing the process of my decision, because she is very like different than I am. She's like, all right, you decided, or you'll say that you want to do something, and then she'll ask you like an hour later, hey, what did you do to make that thing happen? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like give me some time here. So we're different in that way. I talk about myself, I'm a high inertia person, meaning I'm a big rock that takes a lot of like a lot of force.
But once
it's going, yeah, I am not stopping, for anything. And she's definitely now, consistently the big force. And then it's kind of fun to balance each other out that way.
And it can drive you crazy, but then you secretly love it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
To have that kind of accountability.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember one time explaining to somebody, they're like, well, why do y'all work? Why do y'all work? What is it about each other that you like?
Oh,
And
like why are you a good symbiotic
exactly.
relationship?
And
Mm-hmm.
I always said it like this. I said, I love how I get to see um a version of myself like through her. Like
Mm-hmm.
the way she sees me is very different than how I see myself sometimes. And that's kind of cool,
Perception.
right? That's
Mm-hmm.
really cool for her to see me and be like, "Oh, he's doing this thing," or he's moving in this direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Oh, you're right. I am moving in that direction."
Mm-hmm.
And that that inspires more decisions, right? It's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
if she's like, yeah, you're someone who's applying for grad school. And then she'll also ask me, did you finish? And I'm like, so
Yeah.
until I finish, she's going to see me as someone who hasn't finished applying to grad school. So
Yeah.
I don't get to just make up my own little, narrative about why I haven't finished. That she'll
Yeah.
say, hey, why haven't you finished those things? And so
Are
it's a
you a
different
are you a
perspective.
goals guy?
No,
I'm not
I'm
really
not.
either.
I'm not a goals guy. I'm a
Sometimes I do, but like for this podcast, I
yeah,
set the goal that I wanted to have 5 episodes recorded before I drop the first one
super
in
smart.
June.
Yeah.
Like have 5 in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, at the rate I'm going, I'll probably have 10 by the time I drop the first one in June.
Yeah.
But I said I want to record 10 by the end of the summer,
Mm-hmm.
20 by the end of the year.
Yes.
But I
I,
think I'm going to potentially surpass that. But
right.
it's like one of the rare things where I actually set a goal for myself
Mm-hmm.
and I'm already surpassing it, which
Yeah.
obviously feels good. But I don't often do that.
Mm-hmm. I'm a body of work kind of guy. I like to look back and see,
Yeah.
oh, there's a complete volume of things that I've done that, and I think I would have
Mm-hmm.
approached it the same way you did. Let's do
Mm-hmm.
5 of them. And that's chapter 1, or like that's
Yeah.
part 1, because yeah, I can have a goal for a podcast with 100
Mm-hmm.
episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But if, I mean, and yeah, you could do that, but I'm just so much more of like, well, let me make 10 and see where it's going. That inspires
Right.
the next 10. I'm
Right.
I'm so much
Right.
more of a momentum type person, and a sustainable kind of, like, let's keep building on what has happened, not just say, hey, we're gonna go in this direction of
Mm-hmm.
100.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm very much more of a, I want to look back and see what's already happened and be excited about that, more
Yeah.
than I'm excitement about something that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah. I've got an interesting question as we're coming in for a landing here.
Mm-hmm.
An interesting question I would love your perspective on. And it is I read a book once. Gosh, it was so long ago. 15 years ago? Longer ago? I don't know, but it's always stuck with me because there's this whole concept in life of pursuing your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Go after your dreams. Go
Yeah.
after your dreams. You want something, you go get it. You want to be the best
Mm-hmm.
whatever artist, you want to start a band, you
Mm-hmm.
want to own your own nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
You just pursue your dreams. And surround yourself with people that will encourage you and
Yeah.
support you and push you and challenge you
Mm-hmm.
and it's so here that's one side of the coin.
Right.
So the other side of the coin is, what if your dream is to see other people's dreams realized?
Mm-hmm.
So if you began obsessing over Katie's dreams
Mm-hmm.
or your best friend's dreams
Yeah.
or your little brother's dream of starting a motorcycle
Mm-hmm.
shop, I don't know, whatever
Yeah.
it is. But where's the line between being super
Mm-hmm.
self-absorbed with a dream and being others oriented? So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously Martin Luther King, I have a
Mm-hmm.
dream. He gives this whole speech, but his whole goal in that was not for him to be made into a big deal. It was
Mm-hmm.
for everyone listening to feel like a big deal. So his
Yeah.
dream was to pull the dreams out of other people and
Mm-hmm.
give them confidence and see them flourish.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we to do? Where's the
Yeah.
balance with humans?
Yeah, I think there's a
That's deep stuff,
yeah,
bro.
well, there's a piece of advice that a mentor of mine gave.
Mm-hmm.
This is basically right after I graduated college,
Mm-hmm.
and um, and he kind of put me in a really, it was a really kind thing to say, but basically he's like, hey, like, kind of like what you were saying, you're what you want is proved by what you do. But the
Mm-hmm.
reality is that your decisions, like, you have a lot more time to make decisions than you think you do. Like, there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things to put your hands to that aren't
Mm-hmm.
the big things, right? Like, if you have this big dream for something, there are a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
that you can be doing now that aren't directly connected to that big dream, but are the foundation to what you're going to need in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that impatience that we get with our dreams, um, I think comes from either we already know what we want and we want it now, or we don't know what we want, so we focus on other people, or do other things. And so I think the for me, these last, I mean, honestly, the amount of time that we've known each other have been these last 9 years have been really important for me to focus on, what my mentor was talking about. This the the first decade of you being on your own and doing your own thing really
Mm-hmm.
needs to be focused on your character and who you are as a
Mm-hmm.
person,
Mm-hmm.
and focusing on what do you value, what do you prioritize, like, how would you define yourself, how would you define a good life for yourself, because that's different for everybody. um,
Mm-hmm.
and spend some time really digging into that, not focusing on what you're good at or what you're bad at, because that can change, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
figuring out who you are at your core, because that's what's going to lead to you learning, well, what do I want to get good at now, what do I want to be contributing to the rest of the world. And so many, I think for me especially, I was trying to figure all that out at the same time, of like, what, well, I
Mm-hmm.
gotta be good at these types of things, and also be a good person, and also, figure all these different things out. And
Yeah.
I think giving yourself the space to just learn who you are and what you
Mm-hmm.
really care about, I think
Mm-hmm.
will inspire, the best dreams. Because then,
Mm-hmm.
once you know yourself and know what you want to do, then you're better able to be a judge of who you want around you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You're surrounding yourself with the right people,
Mm-hmm.
and I think all that comes in time, but it doesn't, yeah, it requires you to do some real careful work of knowing what you really want to do at the end of the day, and who you
Mm-hmm.
want to be. um
Yeah. I will go to my grave saying I don't give two craps if you're a garbage man
mhm
or a female man,
mhm
or if you're a baseball player,
yeah
or if you own a company, or if you uh, are a custodian. I want to know who you are when
mhm
you're a custodian. I want to know what kind of person you are when you do
exactly
that job, because that's so much more important.
exactly
That because you can think back in your life to significant people who did not necessarily have fancy jobs or
mhm
fancy titles, but they were very significant to you because of the kind of person they were,
right
or the kind of person they weren't, and then they
mhm
were significant in a negative way.
yep exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, your being or who you are matters way more than you're doing and what you do. Because
Mm-hmm.
I remember I had a friend who was like, "What happens if I can't?" They're an artist. It's like, "What happens if
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a terrible accident and I can't play guitar anymore?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah. He's like, I had to realize, like, I am not what I produce. I am not,
Mm-hmm.
the outward, kind of, ability. I'm who I am, when all those things are not there anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a great example of what it means to, I have to do the work of knowing who I am and what I'm about,
Mm-hmm.
outside of what I do for others and what I produce or how much money I make or all those different things that we try to, you
Mm-hmm.
know, justify the decisions we make. And so
Yeah.
it's a big deal.
I always thought it was interesting on Wheel of Fortune when they would interview or introduce all the contestants,
Hmm.
and they said, "Oh, this is Billy from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania," uh, or they would say like, "Our next contestant, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what do you do?"
Hmm.
I'm a school teacher from Pittsburgh,
Hmm.
Pennsylvania, and my name's Billy.
Hmm.
but I was always like taken aback. But I was like, I don't like that's
Mm-hmm.
fine, but you can be an absolute a-hole school teacher.
Yes.
So it's not like I think highly of you just
Right.
because you said that,
Mm-hmm.
But Caesar, we got to do this again because
Yeah.
I feel like we can talk about 12 other things and just keep going.
Yes.
But I would love to do a part 2 with you at some point down the road
That'd be
if
fun.
you are willing and
Yeah.
able,
Once
my
I'm
friend.
in school and I can take a break from
Yeah.
writing a paper, promise
Yes.
not to talk about that because it'd be super boring.
Yeah.
But that'd be
Okay.
great.
Full circle. Full circle.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite quotes from Nacho Libre?
Oh, yes. Oh, this
I
is
mean,
this is super tough. I
I've
think
only
my
heard you say these are the Lord's
yes,
cheeks
that one's
about
a good one.
5,000 times, but it's
I
a banger.
it is. I think
These are my recreation clothes.
yes,
That's a good one.
yes, I really love the. Will you join me in my quarters this night for some toast?
Encarnacion.
Yes. Or today we are going against Satan's cavemen. And then he proceeds to baptize his partner.
Oh, Stephen.
Stephen.
Why have you not been baptized? I believe in science. Okay.
Why do you got to be judging me? Because I believe
Caesar,
in
do you
science.
remember when everyone was chanting my name and I used my strength to rip my blouse?
And I saw them knock you unconscious, okay? I love the response. I love the response, deflate.
Yes.
But no,
Steven.
my favorite quote is the go away, go read some books. It's a great way to end a conversation. Go away, go read some books.
Yeah. Caesar, we'll talk more about Nacho Libre next time. And whether they're going to make a sequel.
Let's just do a podcast about Nacho Libre.
We'll have to get Mojica on here, though.
We will. And then Jack Black will be our guest. That'll be great.
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
Have your people call his people, please.
Sounds good.
We would love that. All right. This has been The Moments That Made Us. That is Cesar Guerrero, who barely knows how to roll his R's. And thanks so much for being on, Cesar.
Thanks for having me.
Take care. Talk soon.
Bye.
Later.